A shadowy landscape at sunset. Text on screen, pursuing progress. A black and white illustration of men in uniform in formation on a field. The illustration slowly becomes saturated with color. The uniforms become blue and red. A man in a park ranger uniform, the narrator, addresses the camera.
In July of 1821, after nearly 300 years, Spanish soldiers marched out of the Castillo for the last time as the Adams-Onis Treaty ceded Florida to the United States. Although this treaty recognized the rights of free blacks, most of the black militia and their families moved to Cuba. Only those who felt themselves protected by owning substantial property stayed in the new U.S. territory.
Text on screen, the Florida Code of Law. An out-of-focus document scrolls to the right in the background. An illustration of a white man holding a whip and standing over a kneeling black man. An illustration of 4 men arresting and gagging a black man. An illustration of white men wearing expensive clothing and top hats and black men in white shirts standing off to the side. The narrator addresses the camera.
Eventually, laws were passed that severely limited the rights of free blacks. They could be whipped for misdemeanors and even forced back into slavery to satisfy debts or fines. Interracial marriage was prohibited, and children of such previous marriages could not inherit their parents' estates.
An image of people riding horses, oxen, and a carriage in a body of water. A portrait of 7 men standing in a wooden landscape in traditional Seminole clothing. The narrator addresses the camera.
Under such restrictions, several mixed-race families evacuated Florida. Some free blacks left to live with the Seminole Indians. Those who could afford it immigrated to other Caribbean countries. Although by 1850 it's estimated that roughly 1,000 free blacks remained in Florida, it was clear that the new society would be primarily composed of only 2 castes, free whites and enslaved blacks.
A map of the United States. The narrator addresses the camera. An image of soldiers and cannons in the Castillo. A photo of a soldier and an image of a United States colored troops enlistment document on the left-hand side of the screen.
The nation was divided over the issue of slavery, and war ensued. At the start of the Civil War, Fort Marion, as the U.S. Army had renamed the Castillo, was occupied by Confederate forces. But by 1862, the Union had gained control and operated a recruiting office for United States colored troops from within the fort.
An image of the Emancipation Proclamation scrolls up on screen. An illustration of a black man with his arms in the air looking to the sky. An illustration of a group of black people and a white man at the window of a building. An illustration of a black soldier carrying a backpack and leaning on a gun. An image of a group of black people walking down a street.
On January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation came into effect. But celebrations of freedom and the end of the Civil War were soon eclipsed by another 100 years of segregation, enforced both by laws and social customs. Some of the black soldiers that served in the U.S. colored troops would provide leadership in the newly found black community of Lincolnville, known originally as Little Africa.
An illustration of the Ponce de Leon Hotel, a large building with several stories and 2 towers. An image of the Cuban Giants, a baseball team of black men, some standing and some sitting and holding baseball bats. A photo of men working on the structure of Castillo de San Marcos.
African Americans worked in the Ponce de Leon Hotel and other Henry Flagler properties as service waitstaff. Several played on the first professional black baseball team, known as the Ponce de Leon Giants or Cuban Giants, and they labored on projects in town, including preservation work on Castillo de San Marcos.
An image of 2 black boys standing in front of a brick structure. An image of a sign reading Colored Waiting Room. Another sign reads Whites Only. An image of a group of black soldiers in World War II uniforms standing in front of a decorative wooden door in Castillo de San Marcos. An image of a fiery cross and 2 people dressed in Ku Klux Klan robes and hood. The narrator addresses the camera.
Despite these and other community connections, St. Augustine remained widely segregated. Highly restrictive Jim Crow laws affected every aspect of daily life in the South. The Great Depression and World War II brought these inequities and violent racism, such as lynching, to the attention of the nation.
A photo of 3 smiling black boys with the walls of the Castillo in the background. Images of the exterior of the fort. The narrator addresses the camera. A shadowy landscape at sunset. National Park Service logo. Text on screen. For more information, www.nps.gov/CASA. Special thanks. Florida Museum of Natural History, Florida National Guard Heritage Art Series, Florida State Archives, Fort Mose Historical Society, Library of Congress, National Archives, National Park Service, National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom, P.K. Yonge Library of FL History, Gainesville, University of Florida. Copyright 2021 National Park Service.
But the birth of the civil rights movement would empower and inspire African Americans in the years that followed. Today, the fort remains remarkably unchanged from the times of tenuous transitions between powers and more restrictive social policies. For some, the Castillo symbolizes continued resilience in the face of adversity. What does it mean to you?